Hello and welcome to Invisible Walls 271. That's a pretty high number. I'm Ryan Stevens. I'm sorry, I'm feeling a tad under the weather, and I'm joined by Benjamin Moore. Are you ever a Benjamin?
Yeah, actually, that's my full name.
Your proper
so.
name?
Are you any relation to people who do the paints?
Nope. Everybody asked me that. And they're like, "Hey, are you part of that Benjamin? Do you get any of that like Benjamin Moore paint money?" No.
Give me some of that paint money.
I was just hoping for a discount. I need to, repaint my bathroom.
And Marcus Beer, are you tied to any beer fortune? Heineken?
I'm actually
Pabst Blue Ribbon?
I'm actually waiting to find that I'm actually tied into the De Beers, the diamond people.
Oh, nice.
Screw the alcohol money. I want the diamond money.
They're scary people, from what I understand. Those cartels and all that.
Perhaps I'd fit right in there.
Do you have personal experience with this?
I have secondhand information from someone who supposedly her father stole diamonds from them in the 70s. And is now fabulously wealthy, but has like bodyguards and stuff.
That's crazy.
Unverified, but interesting story. Girl wasn't known to lie, but everyone can maybe save up a good zinger. Speaking of blood diamonds, no. So I did read this crazy thing where people are becoming diplomats, so they can smuggle diamonds out in their diplomatic satchels.
You could just put them in your beard.
My beard. No, that's where I save like Pop-Tart crumbs and stuff like that, like the twits.
Yeah, and you have to wait until you get it long enough so you can actually have a full 3-course meal.
Yeah. There's always room for dessert. Mm-hmm. Have you ever actually gotten a big hair in your throat? It's fucking gross.
Oh yeah.
Okay, this podcast is getting weird. Anyway, let's kill the fun and talk about strategy games.
Oh.
So no. I like XCOM. Speaking of strategy games, Ben, you have been playing Rome Total War 2, Total War Rome 2. I always get these
they
names
changed
confused. And we had a little bit of a kerfuffle with this review because in this day and age of day one patches or game shipping incomplete and you trying to get reviews up on embargo, we were promised a mighty patch on the Friday of the game's release, and the patch was minor.
Yeah, the way that they worded the email, our review was going to go up Thursday, and the patch was going to come out Friday. And it was like, well, it seems like they're going to fix a lot of the things that we're complaining about. So rather than put up a review and have potentially some of it be irrelevant a day later, we'll just wait, see what it fixes. It didn't fix any of our complaints. So
yeah, that was kind of a misstep on all parties right there.
Yeah.
Marcus, from your old PR stance, you had patches even back in the day. I mean,
I predominantly dealt in PC games.
yeah, but I think the idea of the day one patch is still a little newer, maybe mid 2000s. I'm just curious if you had any kind of thoughts on this. I mean, our whole policy here is what we review is what's on the disc, but when what's on the disc is not what shipping of the game more and more, it is becoming
I think
quite annoying.
The landscape has changed. I mean, obviously, when you were doing in the mid-90s, you had a day one patch to fix those last-minute things. It wasn't, they weren't major fixes, but if they were major fixes, it was a big deal, and that's why you had to go with what's in the box because not as many people were online, and they didn't have access to the bandwidth to download something absolutely major. Nowadays, I mean, there's, it is becoming more and more prevalent. I mean, especially on consoles. As soon as you drop a disc in Saints Row, there was a day one patch, and you can't even play the game properly unless you update it. I think it's something we've come to accept. However, when PR people send out emails saying, "Oh, we're fixing X, Y, and Z, and here's the patch," and then the patch doesn't actually do that, then that means the game is thoroughly deserving of getting a kicking, and so are the PR people for lying, because lying is not what PR is all about.
And obviously you already reviewed Rome, but any other little thoughts that didn't make it into the review that you want to get out there?
Yeah, so something that I didn't really focus on a lot in the reviews is people are experiencing a lot of bugs, a lot of crashes, a lot of like really horrendous frame rate problems. And I definitely did notice frame rate hiccups, and there were some isolated bugs that were relatively minor. Like one time I was trying to do diplomacy, and I went to click on an option, and not only did it not work, all of the other options grayed out. So I was like locked in this diplomacy window and I couldn't do anything. But the minor things that I did experience didn't hinder my game a whole lot, so I didn't focus on it. But yeah, there are definitely some problems, and there's no really good excuse for a game launching like this. But Creative Assembly, like every week, they are going to release a patch, and the next patch, 1.5, is going to fix frame rate problems. That's like the single
Or so
thing
they
that they're
or so they
focusing on.
claim.
Or so they claim.
Okay.
So, but at least they
I
are getting behind it and saying like, this is our map
but
for trying to fix
it's
this
weird
stuff.
that they said that there was going to be all these patch promises, and then that patch didn't really even materialize. That's why it seems a little odder to me
Um,
from that first Friday patch.
I actually feel like in this instance, there's kind of PR was kind of fluffing it up, because if you go through the patch notes, it's not lying.
Don't go through the patch.
Yeah, I'm not going to go through the patch notes. I'm just saying, like, I have them here. All of the stuff they're listing are relatively minor, and I think PR was just trying to get ahead and saying they worded it very vaguely, like, hey, these are kind of some of the big problems people are facing. And
Well, you gave the game a positive review in the end, despite
Mhm.
noticing some of the blemishes. So it sounds like people that are already like, I don't know, people that are into the Total War series may be disappointed that this game's so rough. But it sounds like if they stick with it, they're gonna get a solid experience a couple of months from now.
But that's not acceptable, is it? I mean, look, we went through this earlier in the year with SimCity.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
and SimCity is
SimCity is the poster child
It's-
for
I mean, I wanna-
everything that's wrong with PC game development.
it's not as bad as SimCity is.
right, but
like-
it's still
Which-
kind of.
which-
It's still
is,
it's still in a rough state for sure.
I mean, and that's obviously a straw to grasp at. But yeah, you're right, Ryan. This is where PC games end up getting such a bad rep when they can be the best versions of something, or the only platform where you can get perhaps a really solid RTS experience. So to have this come out, and I'm just wondering what's up. And this is Sega again, isn't it? Sega's yeah.
Well, they're publishing, yeah.
Yeah, what's up with Sega? I mean, let's go back 7 months. Aliens, Colonial Marines. I mean, they just.
Sega's kind of this weird conglomerate now, where but despite like Sonic, they don't really have a face anymore. They kind of just publish a wide variety of things, and they have multiple PR teams working for them and stuff. So I kind of do get that idea of like that kind of machine that doesn't quite know what it's doing sometimes.
The phrase you're looking for is a bit of a mess.
I thought conglomerate
Basically.
would also kind of sum that up.
No, I think there are some relatively efficient conglomerates out there, but yeah, I think Sega's just become a mess, and it's sad because I mean, last week was the 14th birthday of the Dreamcast?
I heard you were very drunk when the Dreamcast came out.
Yeah, well, yeah, that was the launch party. Yeah, I went to the launch party, and that was a lot of fun. But anyway, I don't want to step away from this, but it's sad to see Sega, continually spiraling out of control into being this footnote in history, given where they were 12, 14
You don't think the
years
Dreamcast
ago.
2 is coming out?
I feel like I want to temper this a little bit. Like, while I totally understand the comparisons to things like SimCity and Aliens Colonial Marines, I don't think Total War Rome 2 is a bad game. I had a lot of fun with it. It was just a bunch of minor annoyances that eventually built up enough that it was like, okay, these things are holding it back, but it's a really, really complicated, really fun strategy game. And the things that it does, like when you have 1,000 dudes march into battle and you can do the cinematic cam and you can see them fighting each other, there's no other strategy game that's doing that. So I think it's a good game, and I think it will get better. It's a shame that it launched in the state that it did.
Yeah, no, its sense of scale is like, even in those trailers, you can always get I mean, it's kind of like if Dynasty Warriors was not bad and was a strategy game.
Yeah, kind of.
But I do actually want to throw a question out to people. The daily question hasn't really been so daily anymore. But day one patches. I mean, should we try to stick with what we? I mean, patches can definitely change things. But I think What do you think? Should we wait and apply those day one patches? Should we review what we are given? Sometimes we are given the patches ahead of time, and it's not a problem. But sometimes we have to wait along with everyone else. And this wasn't even a day one patch. This was a day 4 patch. Yeah. So just let us know in the comments. Speaking of patches, I just wanted to get this in. Killzone Mercenary on the Vita, over a gig patch. Console games are definitely becoming more and more like PC games in a lot of ways. And I remember I always like to bring up that the Hurricane pack for Ninja Gaiden kind of snuck some bug fixes into Ninja Gaiden, which were wrapped into Ninja Gaiden Black back in the Xbox. But a gig patch, a non-content gig patch for a Vita game, to me seems pretty egregious. When, I mean, I know those cards are getting smaller and smaller. I know we were talking about that, but I only have an 8 gig card in my Vita, and you said you only have a 4 gig.
It's awful.
Yeah,
And,
I think I have an 8 gig.
And I have nothing. If there's a lot of those Xbox patches are 300K or something like that, or 4 megs. But this is actually a concern, I think, for portable gaming and handheld gaming, and we're seeing this bloat everywhere. I mean, some of those iOS games that are gigs and gigs, I'm not quite sure where they go. And when I was looking for things to delete, I was happy to see that Guacamelee was only like 300 megs, so I could keep that guy on there. But then some other stuff was huge, and I couldn't quite figure out why. Just throwing it out there that patches are still, I think, a tricky thing to navigate. But as hard drive space gets cheaper and Sony keeps dropping the price of their cards, but it is a sticking point for me.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're saying they're dropping the price. I mean, it's about time they drop the price. I mean, some of those cards have been ridiculously expensive right from launch. I mean,
Well,
that's why
Sony
I've
has
only
that
got
thing.
one.
Sony has they have the history of being very proprietary from the beta to the mini disc player, so they can kind of control supply and demand. So they really do have a lot of control over that. So hopefully, who's ever controlling the purse strings knows when it's time to kind of ease up on that side of things. Ben, you've been busy reviewing a lot of games,
Yeah.
and another one was Wonderful 101.
Yeah, I
Which
really liked the Wonderful
I've
101.
only I played the demo. I went through it once and it didn't click with me. I know a lot of people spend hours in the demo, but the game, despite all look and feel, is not Pikmin, right?
No, it's not Pikmin. I actually sent kind of a snarky tweet saying like the comparisons to
you.
Pikmin were a little bit frustrating because I think if you only make like a very cursory glance at both games, you can make that connection. I think they're totally different. Other than like the top-down perspective. And I can understand why you were having some problems with the Wonderful 101. It took me a few hours to get into it. The controls are definitely different, and I don't think that's a bad thing in this case. A lot of action games, Bayonetta is a good example, another Platinum game. It's very fast and it's very smooth in the sense that if you want to do a different attack, you just push a different button. But here, if you want to switch an attack, like if you're using your fist, for example, and you want to use your sword, you actually have to draw a sword. Like you have to draw a straight line. Or if you want to use a whip, you have to draw an S. And that takes a while to get used to. And there are two ways you can do it. You can either use the stylus and draw on the touchpad, which I didn't like because I think anytime you have to look away from the television, away from what you're doing, you're going to get hit, you're going to take damage, you're going to get disoriented. I prefer the right analog stick, and while it's not as precise, some of my circles weren't the best circles in the world. With a little practice, I got used to it, and I thought it was really, really cool.
Do you think this is a game that could only be done on the Wii U?
Yeah, I do. I think it was smartly designed around the Wii U, and something that somebody mentioned in the comments and I didn't bring up, and I regret not bringing up in the review, is it has these really cool puzzles that use the Wii U touchpad. So the good example is you go into the ship and you can't see inside the ship on the television, and so you have to look at the Wii U gamepad to see your characters inside the ship, and you move around using the gyroscope, and there are these buttons that you have to push to control the ship. And you move your characters, and you can if all my characters stand on this button, they'll move up. If all the characters stand on this button, they'll move down. And on the television, you'll see the ship getting attacked. So you'll have to push the buttons on the gamepad to avoid getting attacked on the television, if that makes sense. And while you're running around trying to push the buttons, these dudes are attacking you. So you have to sort of balance killing all of these guys and surviving while you're trying to navigate the ship on the television. And it's some of the coolest stuff that I've actually seen on the Wii U so far.
I did have a kind of a very particular question. Is there a level of replayability to this game? I saw people going balls deep into the demo, which was not particularly long. So I was kind of curious where I know it's kind of got a campaign and stuff, but is there any sort of reason to keep playing?
Yeah. So there's a ranking system like there are with other Platinum games. If you've played Bayonetta or any Platinum game really, you're rated on how much damage you take, how quickly you beat something. And
so it's just a refinement of replaying stuff,
and
though. That's the replays.
The thing
getting
is,
better. I mean, that's fine.
Depending on what rank you get, the more money you get, and there are some upgrades, and so you use money to buy upgrades, and there are upgrades that are really, really expensive. And so if you kind of want to see everything that the game has to offer, you have to replay it to get a better ranking.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. The one last thing I wanted to say is a lot of people, the reason I think the controls are so good, why I like having to draw these inputs and master them, is it's kind of like a fighting game. You know what I mean? I think when you first pick up Street Fighter, you're like, oh man, I'm never going to be able to do that ultra combo. It's just, I'm never going to be able to pull it off. But with enough practice, you get it. And I think a lot of action games only focus on timing, but it's kind of nice having an action game that also focuses on execution. Like, it's just another layer for you to think about.
Okay, I got one more question. This game's gotten not I wouldn't say mixed reviews, but like, they're not all been super high. There's been some somewhat
Yeah,
middling reviews in the
definitely.
the world, the 7 to 10 world we live in, unfortunately sometimes. But I'm curious, like what would be the elevator pitch to get someone interested in this game, especially someone who doesn't have a. How would you sell it to Marcus?
Seriously,
Marcus actually owns a Wii U, so you already have a leg up on
Yeah,
him.
seriously, sell me on this game.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest selling point for it is it's. Have you ever? It's like, imagine Power Rangers or Kamen Rider.
Okay, you've just lost me.
But
Remember, Marcus is ancient.
Yeah, don't forget. I mean, I know you're wearing the Metallica T-shirt
Oh,
too.
Thunderbirds.
Okay, Thunderbirds. I can
Okay,
rock.
it's Thunderbirds and other creepy marionettes from the 70s.
Okay.
Okay, all
yeah.
right. I don't know what that is, but yeah,
Captain
let's go with
Scarlet.
that. Take that sort of, like, if you've ever watched Saturday morning cartoons as a kid, like, I know that's kind of a cliche, but I think it's absolutely true in this case. It sort of evokes that charm and that wonder. Like, it's so colorful and it's so crazy.
So it's kind of Thundercats.
Right, yeah. It's
I like Thundercats.
Yeah, it's honestly like, you can tell the guys who made this game grew up with that, and they're targeting it towards older people because there are very, like, adult jokes, adult situations. And it really, like, I felt like I was a kid again playing it. And I think that is the best pitch I can give for it. I know that's kind of cheesy, but it's true. You know
No,
what
it's
I
not
mean?
He just wants to
cheesy.
make jokes
Well,
about your age.
No, we're just Ryan's laughing too at the prospect of you regressing 3 years. I kid.
becomes a
He's
zygote.
a good man. I gotta say, props on the Metallica T-shirt, dude.
Metallica is my favorite band. So you know.
Wow.
You must hate MP3s.
Me?
Never
No.
mind, old joke.
How old do you think I am, Marcus?
24.
Exactly correct.
How old did the taxi driver think you were when you landed in LA
When I landed in LA, the taxi driver thought I was 15.
and asked where your parents were?
Yes, pretty much, yeah.
How old is that Metallica album?
It came out in 1988, I want to say. 1987 or 1988,
Before you were born.
before I was born. I was born in 89.
Okay, thank you, Ben.
Now I give you what you've been waiting for, PS4 title lineup.
We are now joined by our very own Daniel Bloodworth.
Uh-huh.
You're looking very dapper today, Daniel.
Yeah, you're looking well dressed up.
Dapper Dan.
It's not quite as unbearably hot, so
Yeah, the weather's been a little all over the place, I
Yeah.
feel.
We're just about to start on another 10-day heat wave.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Just in time for GTA. Stay indoors.
Yes.
Point a fan at
The
yourself.
GTA flu hits on Tuesday. Oh, Ryan's already got a case of it.
Did I get it from you, by the way? You were sick last week.
But I was like 6 feet away from you for about 30 seconds.
I have no immune system. Anyway, we're here to talk about Sony. Sony had a little presser, bilingual presser, on Sunday into Monday morning.
yeah, I had forgotten about it, and I was all like, prepared to sit down and play some games, and then I saw the tweets, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's happening.
Yeah,
Can we say how polite Sony were with this? That they had the Ustream page up with the whole this press conference is pretty much for Japan, but we know you guys might be interested, so here's the English language page for you to watch the stream.
Yeah, no,
I
I thought
thought-
it was great.
Wow, well done you, nice and polite.
Yeah.
And I know Ustream can do that because I remember when Dota was first announced at Gamescom, you could listen to the commentators in like 10 different languages. So that's pretty cool. I think YouTube can probably do that too, but I thought it was pretty interesting. Biggest takeaways, I would say Japan's not getting the PS4 in 2013.
Japan getting the shaft.
Wow. I mean, I guess it just proves how important the U.S. market is
Yeah.
even more.
Well, I think Kyle's point was pretty spot on, and like I didn't even really think about it. It's like Sony is pretty much already won Japan without even having to show up. So, like Microsoft's not
That's
going to do
true.
anything there. The Wii U is not really taking off there as it is anywhere else. So,
No, you're right.
When they show up, then they will, be the console to get.
Yeah, they've got the console. Nintendo's got the
The
handheld.
2DS man's going to take over in Japan. Yeah, no, I think that's a valid point. It just still seems like, yeah, business-wise, it may make a lot of sense. It still seems like culturally shocking to me.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
especially because, Japan still has, like 110, 120 million people, and their per-person game attach rate is still much higher than the U.S., where we're like 270 million people. But
I don't know those numbers at all.
that weak head start, and it looks like Sony's probably going to be aggressively pushing extra shipments to the States, right? I'm not. I honestly have no clue about Europe. I'm not sure if anyone over the pond has told you anything.
Well, no,
Marcus,
it's pre-ordering very well. Killzone in particular is
people have been impressed with the multiplayer again. It seems.
Yeah, that one it seems to be the major driver. Not even I mean, and while Xbox has made a dent with the FIFA deal,
Yeah, that good call on that. Like if they did that deal with EA,
but it's
That's
only
great, but-
for people who've pre-ordered the day one edition.
Yeah.
will it be engraved over there?
Yeah, well, it's funny, and I know we're stepping away from Sony, but that whole thing about while supplies last, and it's actually not even a hard copy of the game; it's a download code.
Yeah.
So we're running out of code. Somebody type up some more fucking codes.
Yeah, the way the world works now is getting weird. I'm going to be a great old person. I'm going to be like, I remember when we had dial-up modems and
Yeah, it took 3 hours to download.
we called
porn.
pirate software
a friend's
Juarez.
kid, a friend's kid thought a 70s TV was a microwave.
I could see that. The first time I saw an 8-track, I thought it was like a dynamite plunger. I was like, what is this?
Oh my god! Welcome to Old People and Video Games on GameTrailers.
I think one thing we're all happy. Well, no, I don't know about you, but we're happy about the Vita TV.
I'm cautiously optimistic now that we found out that like some games aren't compatible. Like it's a little weird. Like because I'm also not sure. Like because
Well, let's tell. Can you tell people what the Vita TV
Can
is?
you tell me what it is? Because I've been looking at this. I read the page on GameTrailers on
don't know?
on the side mission blog. I read it, and it seems like it's Ouya for the PS4
With better
and
guts.
Vita.
well, basically, yeah, it's a Vita without anything else except for power and a card slot and a HDMI out. I mean, you connect a PS3 or PS4 controller to it, and you hook it straight to your TV, and then it can do anything a Vita can do, including remote play.
And it can stream from. It will be able to stream from your PS4 as well. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can stream PS4 games to it, and of course, I'm sure all those apps. I'm sure like Netflix.
Yeah.
And and probably Hulu and whatever else they're gonna add. So with an Apple TV being at $100, and Google just had the Chromecast come out at a very. Did you see that thing? It's Google makes it, goes right into your HDMI port, lets you stream stuff.
No, I didn't see that.
And the Rokus have obviously been around for a while, but I think that kind of connected device market. I have a Samsung Smart TV as well, even though I don't use that stuff because I have my consoles hooked up to that stuff. But I think that's a market Sony's trying to get into because Sony is of course bigger than the PlayStation brand, and it seems like it makes sense. I know there's a lot of people that want to play Vita games and they don't care about the handheld
Yeah, I mean,
portion of it at
I'm
all.
one of those kind of guys, like I had the Super Game Boy, I had the Game Boy Player. I was really excited about those because, it was just like,
There's great games on these systems.
yeah, there's great games, and it's a lot more comfortable to play on your TV sometimes.
But
And
if I've already got a Vita,
no.
do I
Unless you
need?
want to play multiplayer or something. But
I don't need Vita TV if I've already got a Vita.
no. It's,
Unless you want a video out,
it
which is
is
what
a
we
Vita.
want. We want
Yeah.
video out.
Okay.
Because Sony still has not given us, which we'll go into the second part of this
And again,
conversation.
I'm curious not just for myself, but for also, I admit I am in the minority. I have a Vita.
I have one too. I feel you. I feel you, man. I feel you.
But yeah, I think, the weird thing is because it's being announced in Japan first, and they haven't said anything about.
Well, didn't they say
Overseas?
$99?
Yeah, well, so people.
I don't know if that
converted
was a weird translation or what.
But I'm unclear on some of the messaging because what they're saying is, because you don't have a touchscreen, there's these games that aren't compatible with it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, is that because it's coming out before the PS4, and so obviously a DualShock 3,
Right.
you don't have anything to emulate a touchscreen, but the PS4 has the touchpad. Is that one of the reasons it has a touchpad?
But it doesn't have a back touchpad.
Yeah, but there's
But
there's
you could toggle either
yeah,
one.
no,
Yeah.
but they could even do a trick where
I'm
like
just
an
playing
on.
devil's advocate.
Oh no, but same thing. Even with a PlayStation 3 controller, they could be like hold all 4 triggers and it makes a phantom finger cursor appear on the screen or something like that. There could always be workarounds. They may not be elegant, but if it's for like I think some games you're forced to use the touchscreen for menus, or even something like Uncharted Golden Abyss, where you have to swipe or something like that.
Yeah, with
you
the
could press
Zorro
them
mark
all,
or whatever.
and then the gyroscope is in all those controllers, so you could get all of that stuff as well. The camera stuff would lose out, but I think that stuff's pretty minor at this point. I'm sure some games will use it as a cool gimmick, but maybe you'll take some steps out.
Invisimals.
But like there are always going to be games that people want to play on systems. Like I bought a PSP to play Patapon, which I heard just came out on iOS, which I need to,
Oh,
which is
weird.
crazy. I need to double check that one. But people want to play games. So in $100 price point, if it comes out in the States, $100 price point. I mean, the Ouya's a cell phone game player. Let's be honest. Yes, there's some good Android games that everyone loves Towerfall, but I think it. I'm not going to say it's going to steal the world's thunder, but it could be an interesting, profitable thing for Sony, especially for families where if they have the PlayStation in one room and then the kids' room they have the Vita TV and then they can stream their PS4 games over there without having to rehook everything up.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. That's a good way for remote play to work and putting it on another big screen instead of just trying to make everything a smaller screen. No Last Guardian.
No Last Guardian, but I was
A lot of people were
pleasantly surprised to actually see some like decent announcements after all the. Well, the thing was they had this montage which made it seem like these are all of the games coming to the PS4, and it's like, so your Japanese games that they're waiting on are like Sudoku and like some Idolmaster clone. Like I don't understand.
If it's Sudoku, my mum will buy a PS4.
But then they did actually bring out the Suda game, which I was surprised to see already. Lily Bergamo, and then
Tell me about the Suda game. I like Suda.
they didn't really say much about the game. They just kind of here it is.
And we saw that briefly at Gamescom, right? That had a trailer.
that game. No,
Didn't it? Didn't. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. Okay.
I don't think it did.
Okay.
But
And yes, let me clarify. I did not stay up to watch this.
yeah,
Why
I was
would
having
I?
a load of fun with it because
But-
it was so late at night.
So tell me about the Suda game. I like Suda. He's fucking Looney Tunes.
Did you play Killer is Dead?
I've got it. I've actually got it, and it's sitting there. But I just saw so many bad reviews. I don't want to taint my.
But you liked Lollipop Chainsaw, right?
I like Lollipop Chainsaw.
This is probably
I
a bit
liked,
better. You should
what
check
was
it
the
out.
other one? The Damned one.
Shadows of the
Shadows
Shadows
of
of
Damned.
the Damned. I really like that one.
Damned.
Yeah. So would you say I would like this one? Because I was just seeing so many
I
bad
don't feel like they
reviews.
said anything about it. Well, I mean,
The new one?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's hard to get a read on
it's
it.
like there's a girl. It looks cool. Oh, and it'll be at TGS if they don't get sick. There was some kind of weird joke in there.
Okay.
Okay.
You really think I would like Killer is Dead?
I think you'd like to at least mess around with it. You may not finish it, but I think you'd probably have a fun time going through the beginning.
Okay.
But
If you already own it.
I've got stacks. I like it.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
they showed the new Yakuza sequel prequel, which is actually a launch game.
Yeah, people got pretty psyched for that around the office.
Is that Japanese launch or US launch? Oh,
Japanese launch.
Japanese launch.
Yeah, I mean, Yakuza.
It's the
Chance
it's
of
the
it
side
even coming to the U.S. is kind of
it's the side
40,
story
60.
one too. It's the feudal Japan stuff. So what turtle racing? I'm hoping.
yeah. I mean, they went in and assassinated a bunch of dudes, so it kind of had almost like a Tenchu feel to it almost. But
The Yakuza games probably should have been a little more popular than they were out here, especially with like the TLC. I know the zombie one was a little off, but I feel like the Yakuza games in general have been
Yeah.
pretty good.
I mean, they did that zombie game because everyone's doing zombie games.
Yeah.
It would be nice if they could bring that to PlayStation Network.
Yeah.
Don't even. And look, Sony Puppeteer came out last week. Obviously, this week. Sony zero marketing on it, and it's a fun game.
And GameStop ignored it.
GameStop, well, yeah, and I think it's ridiculous that that there are these good games. They did the same with Jack 4, Sly Cooper 4,
Sent to
Right.
Die. Yeah.
That was actually a fun game. Got totally shoved to one side. Starhawk, ditto. Infamous 2, even to a certain degree. And Sony's got to stop doing this because they've got some good stuff. If you don't want to commit to the advertising dollars, or you don't want to commit to putting a bunch into the retail space, Uber pimp it on the PlayStation Network. I mean, it's $40 for Puppeteer. I
Yeah.
mean,
And actually, they
for
did
shame.
a good PS Plus members had like a $5 discount for pre-ordering.
Yeah.
On top of that.
That's what I'm thinking. Games like Yakuza and some of the other stuff that comes out in Japan that people want and can come over here. They've got the system to handle it now.
Yeah, no, the question with Yakuza comes to localization and stuff, like how much they would want to do. Would they?
Yeah, there's a ton of Uber Japanese stuff. in there.
Yeah, like the second you go into voice acting, it gets way more expensive.
All
and
right,
stuff.
now I've
But I think
basically
that purists would want the Japanese voice
I have
acting.
figured out a way to do this. What you do is you charge $99.99 for the purist version, and then $40 for the version
and
with
it all
no
balances
voiceover.
out.
Deep Down.
Yeah, Deep Down is completely meta. It's like dot hack, right?
Yeah.
What year is it? 27?
Oh
something?
yeah, the whole Assassin's Creed thing.
Yeah.
Which was very much an Assassin's Creed thing.
that really bugged Justin, but it still looks really cool.
Yeah, well, random dungeons kind of. I'm still not sure I completely understand, the randomized enemies, but I think, that's partly because of the translation. But, I think, if they have an element of that, what's interesting to me is it seemed to, like, be randomizing, not just, like, their abilities, but how they look.
Hmm.
So it'll be nice if they can start applying that across other types of games so that you don't have a bunch of identical looking
Well,
people and things
when
like that.
when the first Witcher game got re-released on PC, they did that to the enemies.
Yeah.
So the color hues and the sizes, I think they call it humanizing. So like throwing some variable sliders, and they make everything so everyone looks a little different. So you're not fighting a ton of the same dudes. I still get really upset when I play a game and everyone does the same animation routine. Like
At the exact same
Resident
time, yeah.
Evil, you throw a flashbang and like 4 zombie dudes are like, yeah. It's comical, but it is a little draws you out of it a tad bit.
It's like a live action version of the Madonna Vogue video right there.
Thank you. No, well, you should see my Miley Cyrus. Anyway, I think Sony's again on a roll. I'm curious to see what they're going to really bring at TGS this year. But I thought they had a really good Gamescom. They showcased indie games. They made them things that people wanted to talk about, like that the internet wanted to talk about, not just like the hardcore people.
They've
Their first party lineup looks great. They've now, it's funny that they're, third parties becoming. It's just too expensive for like I think we all think Titanfall is going to be on PS4 eventually.
Probably, yeah.
But it's interesting that Microsoft has taken over the publishing reins of Dead Rising 3. Oh, and I guess that's Capcom as well.
Yeah.
And now Capcom's doing Deep Down. It is interesting to see these guys get a little bit of their their meat hooks in where they can. Though I feel like it really is going to be first party, and Microsoft still really needs to bring it to a degree.
Yeah, well, and then a lot of people, I guess, there's some kind of studio tour for Infamous right before PAX, and the impressions from that have been outstanding. So really excited to have that in February.
Dare I say it? Not all in the garden is rosy for Sony. Obviously, there was this rumor that hit yesterday with regards to
HDCP.
HDCP.
I don't think that's a rumor. I mean, I actually think this is great that people are talking about it.
Yeah.
I guess Sony still needs to.
They haven't confirmed exactly.
But this is something we've dealt with for the last 7 years.
Right.
In a nutshell, HDCP is a copyright thing that is on HDMI. Before, on old VCRs, you may have heard of Macrovision, and it would stop you from copying movies and stuff like that. And it basically makes, even though it's all a digital signal, it makes it next to impossible to capture video without using some gray market devices, which I don't think are even manufactured or sold in the United States, except maybe resellers, I should say. And it can be a big issue, and I know people are pointing at the sharing functions, but that
Right.
may not cut it for someone who's trying to do, professional work on a professional level.
Yeah, well, the real issue is that these new boxes don't actually have component out, so you don't have an alternative anymore.
Right.
To do HD capture. All you've got is a little old yellow yellow plug.
Yeah, and a lot of people are getting upset about the fact that this view that Twitch TV is going to be the only way you can stream your stuff from now on. You can't put it onto YouTube, even though I do remember Mark Cerny saying.
Yeah, he did say YouTube.
YouTube, yeah. But yeah, I think it's this is the one area where Sony does need to get proactive with this messaging, even if it's just to the media, because this is where GameTrailers, GameSpot, and everybody else. This is, making the video footage look good and makes the games look good.
But look what we never got was a Vita capture unit.
Right.
And we've talked to Sony PR, and they're saying, like, we're sorry, guys, but, somewhere up the food chain, it's not happening.
Yeah.
And there are third-party things for that where you have to break your Vita and plug in all these things to get a USB out, which I won't go into, but, people...
I remember the tentacle that used to come out of the PSP when you guys were capturing it. I mean, it honestly looked
that
like
was
this
a
bio-organic...
That was a third-party solution back in the day.
Yeah.
Well, what's interesting, though, is
Bad.
Microsoft apparently has gone on record saying that it won't HDCP won't be for gaming. And then...
yeah, I mean, that's the thing is you can turn it off. That's what's weird.
Yeah, you can turn it off on a
toggle.
debug.
No, I mean, like, you can do software controls on it, so I'm shocked that Sony's not going to address that issue.
I think
But, like,
it's
even on the Xbox, like, if we capture and, like, if you plug in... Like, we have a device called a Key Pro, and I'd be capturing at home, and then I'd try to go watch, like, the Daily Show, and it would be still hooked up daisy chain through the the Key Pro, and it would actually say, you know, this is connected to something. So it's smart even there. So the devices can know. They're smart devices. They can know what's up. But it's a big deal for us, and it's going to be a big deal for you guys as well, because I think people are going to want more tools than Sony will give them. You don't want to be boxed into just having the share tools. You want to be able to edit your own stuff and, you know, apply your cool effects and whatnot, or put your little picture-in-picture camera stuff in there.
I think this is still coming from, this is predominantly coming from Japan, where they do like to exercise too much control almost. I'm
Ninja
hoping that
renting,
the positive effect of Mark Cerny and his just adorableness will melt their icy hearts, and they will realize that, you can't just do what works for Japan, because they've realized it on everything else. The PS4 seems to be everything everybody else wanted in the West, and they just have to go perhaps this extra couple of yards to make it easier, because at the end of the day, it's promoting their stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but still keep in mind that like this is still essentially hypothesis. Like there's other people are saying that their sources have kind of indicated that it won't have HDCP, but Sony just hasn't said one way or another.
But the PS3 had it.
Yeah.
So
and
the
that's
PS3
problem.
plays Blu-rays, and it made a little more sense. But yeah. Well, thank you, gents. I'm sorry for all of my coughing and Ben's hyperactive legs earlier in the show.
Oh, bless him.
Next week, a lot of GTA. Our review will be hitting 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern on Monday, and we're looking to do a crazy live stream that night starting at 9 p.m. for a full 24 hours. So check it out at GameTrailers.com/live, and stay tuned. Thanks, everyone.